Everybody, how are you? Good evening, good morning, wherever you happen to be. This is Master Gall. For those of you who have subscribed to our YouTube channel, you know who I am, you know what we teach, but you don't know some things that have been going on, so I wanted to fill you in. Shaolin Wing Chun Academy, as you may have noticed, the name of the school is not Shaolin Wing Chun Academy anymore. So that business is now closed. We were hit by a tornado back in March of 2020, and took us a while to find a new location. Some things happened behind the scenes, which I'm not going to get into. Some private things happened that kind of accelerated the dissolving of SNWCA. So that company is now gone. That school's gone. However, I came up with a new name. It is now called United Martial Concepts. But before I got that name, I was looking for a new location, of course. We found one roughly May of 2020, I think. But this is right around the time COVID had decided to rear its ugly head and come out, and so not many people were very interested in meeting up and showing rental spaces and things like that for fear of dying. So it took us a few months longer. I finally found a location where the property manager was willing to come out and show us the place. We saw it in June, late May, early June. We got in there roughly early to mid-July, started dealing with things, signed the lease in mid-July, I believe, and we officially opened August 1st. So we've been open at United Martial Concepts, or UMC. We've been open since August 1st in Hermitage, Tennessee, roughly 5 minutes down the road from the old location. So with the change of name of the school, there have also been a lot of other major changes I want to give you information about. So all the videos from here on out are going to be dedicated to the new school and the new curriculum. So in the transition phase, I came up with a new system that I created that I call the Concepts of One. And you've now seen the logo, so you know what it looks like. ONE. And so this system is designed around awareness and dealing with your surroundings as they are, as opposed to as what you think they might be or they could be. So the ONE stands for observation, nullification, and engage. So observe, nullify, and engage. The observe, I'll do more videos about this. I'm going to do a video on each letter, kind of going into detail. But essentially the observation is more psychological. Nullifying is about half and half, psychological and physical. And then engage is pretty self-explanatory. You're engaging the situation or engaging the opponent. This concept is built around the 5 elements and what I call the 4 corners. So the system is broken down into 5 units, and each unit represents one of the 5 elements in Chinese philosophy. And so the student not only learns martial technique, but they also learn about the element that corresponds with that unit. And so the 4 corners are the 4 martial systems that I have been trained in, that I meshed together to make this system. So they are Wing Chun, Kali, Sui Jiao, and Chin Na. Most of you know what Wing Chun is. Most of you more than likely know what Kali is. For those of you that don't know what Chin Na and Sui Jiao are, let me break it down very basically for you. Chin Na, traditional Shaolin Chin Na, is joint manipulation or striking. It also deals with pressure points, meridian lines, energy work, a lot of things like that. The most basic level of it is joint manipulations, putting people in essentially pain compliance to convince them to stop whatever it was they were doing. Later on in Chin-Na, the more advanced levels, you get into meridians, pressure points. You get into a lot of different aspects of chi, energy work. You get into a lot of aspects of dealing with organs and blood flow and breath and that kind of thing. So it gets very detailed for those that want to venture down that path. Suijiao is the grandfather art to both judo and jiu-jitsu. It's a Shaolin system of grappling, but Suijiao is a complete system, meaning there is striking and grappling. It's not primarily one or the other. So judo and jiu-jitsu both came from this. If you've ever heard of Japanese jujutsu, this is probably the closest thing to Suijiao that there is. So these four corners, Wing Chun, Kali, Suijiao, and Chin-Na, make up the concepts of one system. So each student in each unit of the system is getting a little bit of everything, and the idea behind it was that I noticed after teaching Wing Chun for so many years, the number one problem that most students had with Wing Chun was how slowly it develops in the mind. I've noticed that there are primarily two different types of students. There's usually the students who have a great academic knowledge, great academic foundation or arsenal for Wing Chun, but they just can't seem to translate that to practical application for whatever reason. And then the other student is the opposite of that. They can do things practically and they can move well, but they don't really understand what they're doing or why they're doing it. They don't understand the method or the philosophy behind it. So, but I've noticed over the years when I've had students who have trained in multiple things, whether it's Wing Chun and Kali, or they add kickboxing, or they do Chin-Na or whatever, usually what tends to happen is they tend not to get so tunnel visioned on the Wing Chun, and they tend not to make it so complicated. Most of you probably recognize that our brains make things more complicated than they have to be more often than not. So when you teach somebody something that's very simplistic, most of the time their brain fills in the gaps with what they think tends to go there. And they tend to say, well, it can't be this simple. There's got to be more to it when there's really not. So when they're focusing solely on Wing Chun, there's a tendency for the student to get confused, to question a lot, which I don't mind questions at all, just the opposite. But they start to question themselves. They start doubting themselves and saying, well, I've been training this long, I should be better than this. Or I'm doing Chi-Sao with someone who has been training in half the time that I've training, and they're just eating me alive. Why is this? And most of the time it's because they're thinking too much and they're not feeling. Those of you who have trained in Wing Chun for any length of time understand the importance of touch, listening skills, feeling where you're going, feeling those avenues and those angles, and then capitalizing on what you feel as opposed to what you see or think. So when you're dealing with this, it can be, for certain students, it can be very disheartening because you've trained for a year or 2 years and you feel like you really know academically what you're doing, but you just can't seem to put it into practice. You can't seem to get your mind right, or you can't seem to put your hands in the right places at the right times or whatever. So the idea behind creating concepts of one, in addition to the psychology of it, in addition to learning about yourself, who you are at your core as opposed to what you are, learning about your situation, was to give the students something else to focus on in addition to the Wing Chun that they're learning. And I've actually seen some pretty good results. The students that I have now all of them seem to like it, which is good. And it appears as though, I haven't heard anything different. If I do, I'll obviously change this, but it appears as though the fact that they're learning extra things, they're learning different ways to do essentially the same thing, and they're learning different philosophies, helps them to expand their mind a little bit and look at things objectively as opposed to subjectively so much. And they tend to not overcomplicate so much. And I think one of the reasons that they tend not to overcomplicate is because they have what they feel is a wealth of information at their fingertips, and there's a lot of information to download, so they don't really have time to break down one or two things. There's so many things they have to look at and understand and get down that their brain doesn't have time to muck it up too much. So at least that's the hope. I've noticed in the few months that I've been teaching this that a lot of students have excelled at a pretty good quick rate. Um, they're learning the Wing Chun, which is great. They're also learning the other three as well, and it seems as though learning the other three is helping their Wing Chun get better, and their Kali gets better from the other three, the Sui Jia gets better from the other three, and so on and so forth. So that's the idea behind the system. That's the name of the system, and like I said, I'll be making some videos on ONE specifically, each letter kind of going into detail about what those are and what people should expect when they train with us about that. So just wanted to make this video and reintroduce myself to those of you who haven't seen a video in a while. I know it's been a while, and I'm committed to changing that. I'm committed to not going so long without making a video again, because those of you who have subscribed, those of you who like my videos, I want to continue to give you good content and hopefully help you think a little more objectively, help you think a little bit outside your box, and try to help you on your path of becoming a better martial artist. Thank you so much for those of you who like and subscribe. If you like this video, please hit that like button. Please share it with your friends. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. I promise there's more content coming. I'm currently filming a lot of videos to boost the playlist. So hopefully there will be quite a few videos coming soon. I will keep you guys updated on the system. And of course, we have a website as well. The URL is conceptsofone.com. And feel free to check us out anytime you want. If you live in the Nashville area, please come down to the school, check us out. We'd love to have you come out and see what we're all about. Thanks again, guys. Y'all have a great night. God bless.